Howdy folks, Troy with V-Twins the V8s, coming back on my Datsun 240Z project to kind of show you my thought process on doing a headliner. So let's dive in. So the headliner for the 240Z is pretty minimal at best. It's just a little bit of foam, and as you can see, it's all deteriorated because it's some 40 years old. I got a few cracks in here. It's just worn out. It's old and it looks nasty, and I want to replace this, but I wanted to kind of upgrade it, and I came up with this idea and I wanted to share it to you. Okay folks, so here's our 240Z project. You can see it's starting to look pretty good. And what I did on the inside of this car was I put this Dynamat sound deadener all on the inside of the car. That way there, when things hit it, it's nice and solid. It gives you that feel like you get from your brand new car. If you do this to your car, you'll be absolutely amazed what it's like when you drive down the road. So now, this is the roof. This is the roof of the car up here, and you can hear how tinny it is compared to when I'm down here, right? So I have that nasty headliner that's on the bench, and I'm like, okay, I could take this Dynamat stuff and put it up here, then buy the original headliner and glue that to the Dynamat. But to me, it seemed like, you know, kind of like twice the amount of work, and the money. So I'm buying Dynamat, I'm gluing it down, I'm trimming it and all that, and then I'm buying the headliner and I'm gluing that to the Dynamat. I'm like, there's gotta be a better way. And there is, and I'm gonna show you right now. So what I was looking for is something that looks like this, that most people would look up and say, yeah, that's the factory headliner, but would give me the sound deadening of the Dynamat. And lo and behold, there is such a product, and I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay, so this right here is what they call boom mat. And it is what they call boom mat leather look. And if you look at this, right, it is very, very similar to our other piece, plus it is a sound deadener. So I can take this piece, I can trim it so it's the same size as my headliner. I can glue it up inside with some special glue, and this will not only mimic the original headliner, but it will also provide sound deadening on the roof so it doesn't sound like a tin can in our car. And I'm going to do this install, and I will show you how the whole thing goes. So let's get at it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use my original headliner, which is under here like this, as a pattern for my new headliner. So I got a piece of cardboard here. I got my boom mat laid out. And this piece is 48 inches by 48 inches. And what I want to do is use my old headliner as a pattern. And I'm going to put this pattern on here so as I can save as much of this stuff as possible because it is expensive. At the same time, what I am going to do is I am going to cut this just a little bit larger than the original. And that way there, I can dry fit it in the car, and if I have to do any trimming, I can. If I cut this the same size as this pattern, and this pattern had shrunk, and I put it in the car and it's too short, I can't stretch it. So they recommend a pair of scissors. I have some pretty good industrial scissors. I'm going to try cutting it on a corner and see if I can use the scissors or see if I need to use a razor knife. So we're going to experiment with that, and we'll get to trimming this. Okay, so I have my industrial scissors here, and I've tried it on a little corner over here, and it cuts it like perfectly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go along this back side, and I'm leaving myself, I don't know, between 1/2 and 1/4 of an inch of extra material that could be trimmed off later. And I'm just gonna go along. Basically, I'm cutting this like we were kids and you're making a pattern with construction paper. And that's basically all we're really doing. Just gonna go along here like this. And when I get here, I'm just gonna cut this right off the end so I have a nice, easy piece to work with. Boom. Okay, I've got a little bit of this left over. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but it's expensive, so I'm gonna hang on to it. Okay, so I'm about, like I said, 1/4 to 1/2 inch larger than what I wanna be. And I'm just gonna cut this. It actually cuts pretty good with these scissors. And you can spend a lot of money on scissors. I bought these like on eBay or something, and they weren't really, they were a little pricey, but not too crazy. So as you can see, I'm just a little bit bigger than my original piece. Makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. Because as they say, measure twice, cut once, and then cut it big, and then cut it again. That's what I say. All right.
Money, your money.
So there's my piece. So if I take my pattern off, well, I'm gonna trim this corner over here a little. So I kind of make that round. All right, I take my pattern off. Now, in theory, that should be my headliner for the car. So, as you can see, this is our nasty old headliner here, and this is our nice new headliner. Now this headliner weighs about, I don't know, 3 or 4 ounces. This one's pretty heavy duty. So now what I want to do is I'm going to bring this in and fit it into the car. So I'll move the camera into the other bay with the car, and we'll get this set in there, do whatever trimming, and then we can get ready to actually glue it in. Okay, so here's our 240Z project car. Hopefully you've been following along. This is my roof where I want to put that piece. Now, I do have a little bit of a luxury that probably most of you people won't have, is this is just the shell of the car that's on my rotisserie. So I can turn this completely upside down, and I can lay this headliner in here like it's a tablecloth on your dining room table. So I'm going to roll this thing upside down, and then we'll take the headliner and set it in. So watch this. Okay, so now how crazy is that? It doesn't get any easier than putting a headliner in like this, trust me. Okay, so here is my headliner. And I don't know if this is gonna need to be trimmed, but we are going to find out. I'm really liking it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, look at that, huh? Now that is what I'm talking about. So now, what I figure I'm gonna do is get my adhesive, and then we can get ready to glue this in. Okay, so I got my headliner laying down in here. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So it lays down in here nicely, but we have to glue it. And to glue it, we're going to use some special glue that is made for this particular mat, and I'll show you right now. This is DEI spray adhesive, and I'm going to let you know how it works once I read the instructions. Okay, so I rolled back my piece and kept it into position. So what I thought was, what I want to do is I want to make this so it doesn't move. My initial thought process was to spray this whole thing and this whole thing, and I'd flip it down. But right now, I'm really not all that confident because I don't know how strong this adhesive is, if I'll be able to move it. And if I can't move it, that's going to be big trouble. So what I am going to do is I'm going to spray an area in the center of this and in the center of this. And then I'm going to lay this, I'm going to let it, both areas have to be dry to the touch. Then they can be bonded. So then I'll lay it down, and what I'll have is the center of this will be adhered to the center of the roof. Then I can subsequently peel back all of the edges and spray those. I think that that's going to be the safest way for me to do this. So I got this can of stuff, and let's see what it's like. Yeah, so okay, so it's like, you know, like 3M trim adhesive, more or less. So now we're gonna let that dry, and then I'll fold this down, and in theory, this centerpiece will be stuck, and then we can just kind of flip back each corner, spray those, lay it down, so on and so forth, and then we'll have the whole thing bonded. So I'll just kind of keep you up to date as we go along. I don't think you want to watch this adhesive dry, so I'll come back on once we're ready to fold it down. Okay, so now this is all pretty much dry to the touch. It's supposed to not transfer to your fingers. I'm feeling pretty good. So I'm going to take and just roll this right down on here. Yeah, that sits on there pretty darn good. So now I'm going to work this out on the front. We'll get back to our adhesive spot, and we'll spray this, and we'll continually lay this down until we have our whole piece down. Okay, so I glued down this corner already. Because I got the camera over there, I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I've got this sprayed, I've got that sprayed. Now what you want to do is have a piece of cardboard so that you can spray this mat and not get any on the, you know, the pretty side. You know, your exposed area, your actual headliner. And this adhesive's pretty good, I like it. So we're just going to give this a minute, and then we're going to fold it down. Now what I have is I have this little thing, we always used to call them bones. It's basically just a plastic, like a plastic molding tool or putty tool, and I use this to tuck my headliner up underneath the this edge here. So we got to give this a moment and to dry, and then I'll start positioning this, folding it, and tucking it under. The corners might tend to be a little bit hard. We're gonna see how that goes in a moment. If I have to, I could always trim a little bit of the edge so that, you know, we have relief and we can actually put that in there. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and roll this down. Get over to the other side. So what I found is if I can get the edge under there, I can take my little tool and just work it up under that pinch weld. Go. So as you can see, just kind of working this up through and under here like this. I mean, I got a little bit of fuzzy on the edge, but we can clean that off afterwards. Come over here, I'm going to work that edge back. Then all we got is this corner. Okay, now we're going to spray this last corner and get this folded down. I'll peel this back as far as I can. Which is right there like that. Okay, masking cardboard here. Now, we just gotta wait for that to dry, and then we can fold down this corner. Okay, now with our adhesive dried up, we're gonna take and fold our last area down in over here, just like we did before. I might have a little bit too much edge on this. We'll have to kind of see how it goes. You probably don't have to go as far under the lip as I'm going, but it's the way it's cut, and it's the way it's going in. Once I get my edge in there, I can just take my tool, run along inside of here, make sure it's all down nice and flat. Okay, so now got my whole piece down in there. I'll take a little roller, roll this all down in here. So it's stuck. Goody good good. You're never really gonna see it like you're seeing it right now when it's in the car. So that's it, it's down. I'm gonna let it dry. Then I can take some adhesive remover, clean up my edges, kind of wash this down a little bit, and it'll be good to go. Okay, so I'm just gonna take some adhesive remover, wax and grease remover, and wash off this pinch weld right here where I have some of the fuzzies from the inside. Make sure everything's nice and clean. And then after that, I'll probably just take some compressed air, blow all these little fur balls off of here, and I think we'll be good to go. We'll just let it dry, and we'll be done.
Wax on, wax off.
All right, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to show you what this headliner looks like now that it's settled down and kind of dried up, and I cleaned it off and the edges and everything. So I'm going to take and roll the car back over so you can see it, you know, as it should be. So now I got it rolled over, and if you look inside, there is my headliner. I think that looks pretty darn good. Not only that, when I hit the top of it, it's got a nice flat sound to it. You're not hearing that tinny sound that you were hearing before. So it's gonna match all the rest of this inside, and that's what it is. Okay folks, so that's my video on how to replace your headliner in your 240Z. I'm not sure, but I think it would work in the later series if it has that same style headliner. I'm not positive, but I really like this. I mean, it deadens up the sound of the car. The inside of it has a very, very similar look to the original, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. So please, if you enjoyed the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Comments below are appreciated. There'll be some links to what you need to do this job. Please use my links, it helps me out. And most of all, good luck on your project.